The Valentine's Day spirit is here, and that means we're making heart-shaped chocolate cakes and cookies. All sorts of baked goods to bring a little sweetness and love into your life. My guest today is my good friend and baking guru, Rose Levy Beranbaum. Not only has she brought us the Cake Bible, Rose's Christmas cookies, and the Bread Bible, but today we're getting a perfect chocolate cake. Rose, thank you for being here. It's so good to see you again.
It's great to be here, Dede.
Now, the perfect chocolate cake. This sounds amazing.
Well,
Tell me about this.
People are always asking me how you can make the chocolatiest chocolate cake. So I really put my heart into this one.
Heart into this. It's going to be heart-shaped. So what is it that's particular about it?
Well, the best chocolate cakes are made with cocoa because you get the best chocolate flavor because you're baking it. But then I decided to put the ganache, which is usually the frosting, heavy cream, and your favorite eating chocolate that gets melted together. I brush it into the cake so that it gets integrated into the cake after it's been baked.
Oh, I can't wait to see this technique.
So that's as chocolatey as I can do.
Now we're also doing cookies.
This is the quintessential cookie dough in my book because it's very versatile and you can make any shape you want, which means that any time of year when you want to celebrate something, you just use the appropriate cutter, and that way you have a great cookie with a shape that says what the celebration is about.
Well, if there's chocolate in the kitchen, I want to be there. Let's go.
And I'm following you.
Well, no, you're going to show me this is your wonderful recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is the cake.
Well, actually, the first thing we're going to do is the ganache, because that way it will be ready to pour into the cake when the cake is baked, and we can always keep it warm.
Okay,
so we're going to start.
First.
I'm using, because it's a small amount of chocolate, I'm using the small bowl in the processor. But this is the quickest way to make the ganache. And the only secret here is that the cream must be really hot, and that way it will melt it
I'm
perfectly.
working on that.
Okay.
So is this a bittersweet chocolate or a semi-sweet?
Well, it depends. Some people prefer more bitter chocolate, so you use the one that you prefer.
So you could do either.
Yeah.
And then we have
this would be the semi-sweet or bittersweet.
Okay, and then we have heavy cream that we're heating.
And it's coming to a boil. Now we can just pour it right in.
Yes.
And there's enough of the cream to the chocolate. See, this is a very thick ganache because we want it to penetrate into the cake. So it's thin enough.
I can't wait to see what you're going to do here. I mean, so far I understand we're making a ganache. We've got the chocolate and the cream.
This is one of these ideas that when I had it, I thought, I hope this works, because if it does, you're getting the best possible chocolate hit that you can think of.
So I'll just put this to the side to keep warm, right?
Exactly. In fact, I would put it back into the pan, and that way it will stay warm.
I'll do this, and why don't you tell me what you're going to do with the batter?
Thank you. Over here we have some Dutch processed cocoa, and I'm going to add boiling water to it. And this is one of the secrets to the flavor, because the boiling water brings out the flavor in the cocoa. So we're just going to add the vanilla extract.
Pure vanilla extract, of course.
Exactly. And just as soon as it's completely dissolved and there are no particles, we can let it sit.
I'll bring this over. I can keep whisking and make sure that this is lump-free.
Great, because we just want to prepare the flour. And this is 5½ ounces of flour.
So now you are putting the dry ingredients in first?
This is the method that I use for all my cakes.
Now this looks like
This
looks like a superfine.
I prefer superfine sugar. It's a finer texture for the cake. And then the salt, baking powder, because we're using Dutch processed cocoa, we don't need the baking soda. And now that it's cooled down somewhat, we're going to use 1/4 of this mixture to add to the egg yolks.
Now why do you do that? I can whisk this while you pour. Why do we do this?
Because we don't want to add all of the liquid ingredients together. We're doing it in stages because we want it to emulsify. That's part of what gives the texture to the cake. So first what we're going to do is to blend together the dry ingredients, because a lot of recipes say to sift, and actually in sifting they don't mix together evenly. And now, as soon as it's mixed together, we're going to add,
what would you like first?
The butter. And the butter should be squishable.
Oh, look how soft that is.
But not too soft.
Okay, because otherwise it would be oily.
Yeah, see, the main thing is, oops.
It's okay.
We didn't lose much. The main thing is that it's slightly softened, so it will mix in well. And then...
Would you like this at the same time?
Well, because it's still a bit warm, normally I would put it in at the same time. I'm going to put it in with the motor going. You can dump it all in as soon as it will go in.
So this is the mixture that has the chocolate and the eggs. Okay, there we go.
And now this is going to mix for 1½ minutes until it's really smooth and aerated at a higher speed. And while we're doing that, we can prepare the bread pan. Okay, now it's been beating for 1½ minutes. And before I start adding the rest, I want to scrape down the sides because you see how so much of it always ends up on the side, does not get mixed in evenly.
We want to make sure that it's all mixed evenly.
But you can see how it's aerated, it's lighter in color.
Lovely.
Okay.
Is this
and
going
now
in portions?
in 3 parts. So with the mixer on, or you can do it with the mixer off, 1/3. And bring it up and beat it for 20 seconds. We're going to cheat now and just do it for a few seconds. Another, yep. But always add it when the mixer's down or you could end up with chocolate all over you. Okay.
May I borrow?
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
empty as much of it as you can.
I'm getting it all over my fingers.
In fact, at this point, what I do is I turn it off and I lift it up because that way you can just dump it in.
I'm getting it all over my fingers, so I'm going to have to lick my fingers really soon.
Only don't forget there's no sugar in that part, so it's not going to taste very good. You know, what wonderful as chocolate is, it needs a little bit of sugar at least, right?
I agree.
Okay, and it's just a few seconds and it's a smooth batter. Okay, so the batter can sit for a few minutes, but you never want a batter to sit for several hours. It can sit for several hours in the refrigerator if you've already put it in the pan. But if it's not in the pan yet, don't let it sit too long.
So here we have our heart-shaped pan.
Right. And we have a little bit of butter. You can use shortening because it's just to stick on the parchment. We want to make 100% sure that
and this is, you can just
it releases completely.
take a sheet of parchment and trace the bottom of the pan to get your heart shape and cut it out.
Good. And now the baker's joy because it has the flour and the grease in it. And that's the only way. Chocolate is so sticky. It's the only way you can be 100% sure. Sorry, Dede. Just powder your nose. And now it's all ready.
Now, tell everybody about these. I love these things. Whoops, we don't want you to miss your pin.
Yeah, thank you.
But tell them what this is going to do.
These are called Magic Cake Strips. And what you do is you soak them in water for a few minutes or run them under water, and then you just squeeze it out. And what it does is it keeps the outside of the pan cool, or at least cooler than it would be without it. Because what happens normally in the oven is that the part against the metal, the batter against the metal, sets because it cooks faster than the center.
And they come with this little pin, and you can just affix it.
So what happens is that the outside sets and the center keeps rising, and that's why you get uneven cakes. And the larger the cake pan, the more extreme the distance from the side to the center.
So this is going to keep the cake from doing that. It's going to help them bake more evenly because it's going to retard the baking from on the sides.
Exactly.
Here we
This
go.
will fill the pan about half full.
Oh, so this is just going to be a single layer.
Because it's a high layer. And of course, we're also decorating it
Oh, well,
with red raspberries.
you know what's coming up. I can't wait to see.
You can use the spatula if you have a little offset one to spread it evenly. So as you notice, I'm pushing it against the parchment so the parchment doesn't come up at all. So Dede, this is going into a 350 oven in the middle rack where it's baking for 30 to 40 minutes until a cake tester comes out clean or it springs back when you press it lightly.
Here you go.
Thank you. So right in the middle rack.